Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Lumière Learning Monday. Our guest today is the eclectic writer, thinker, Sanjeev Kotnala. Sanjeev has been, in advertising for 17 years after working with brands and with, client companies, and then he has now been an entrepreneur for the last 9 years. Sanjeev, welcome to the Lumiere Learning Monday. We would have loved to be in Dehradun and experience the cold with you, but you're advising against that.
Thank you, sir, for calling me over, and welcome to all of you to listening to this broadcast.
So,
Yeah.
Sanjeev, you started your journey. You went and did the classical things. You did engineering. Then you went and did the coveted IIM Ahmedabad management degree. And then you have continued to go and be a practitioner and inform and educate. So tell us, how did your passion for communication and advertising, marketing and branding begin? Was it any particular professor who sparked that interest, or an author?
I don't think it was a planned move or it was inspired by anything. I do remember that engineering, the field that I did, agriculture engineering at that time, did not have much of a scope.
Hmm.
You ended up being a research associate, or after something of PhD, come back and teach in the institutes.
Hmm.
Okay, it was not much. So one thing was clear: you wanted to get away from it, though you had an engineer tag. Engineer has been a tag with me throughout the time. Two, being from a smaller town at Jabalpur at that time, we never knew of anything else much to do. And why? Because one has cancelled out the MTech field from the line, management came as an option.
Hmm.
Uh, Really speaking, I didn't know what IM was all about at that time.
Okay.
I gave the exam for IM, I gave the exam for FMS, I gave the exam for IRMA, these three. And the places where I believed I have done the best, FMS, I never got a call. Okay, and place I thought I have not done well gave me a call, and that's how I landed in Ahmedabad. But at Ahmedabad, yes, there was a few session by Bija Ramapurkar. There was session by Rhoda Mehta, which inspired a bit. And because I was a bit into art side, having won the Shankar's art competition at some stage at and YMCA at some stage, uh, it seemed like a better place to be. Even through I was not really clear about what communication was all about. Okay. But I didn't wanted to get into any bigger rut. I always believe that it's best to do what you want to do, rather than do what could get you far more other things than people go for. So I had few placement from IM, but then Naganand Kumar of Mudra came for an interview. We just started at 2 o'clock and ended. You won't believe, we started from a conference kind of a setup interview to a chai ki patri interview finishing at 10 o'clock.
My God.
Okay. So that log interview, and then the person tells me, sorry, we are not taking it right now. We will only open in October. So I said, fine, I'm wanting to. So I went to Delhi and joined a small firm. You may have remember a name called Anil Maitre, who started the A&M Awards of that time. So I joined him in a basement agency because I said, if I'm getting into communication agency, then the best place to learn is a small agency where you end up doing everything.
Correct.
So you do client servicing, you do production, you do creative, you do every possible thing, and you get exposed very fast. So that was the time before Mudra, and Naganand brought me into Mudra management training program. It was called MMTP, which was the experiment they had before they started Mica. So I
Correct.
was a part of that experiment in that way,
Yeah.
and I continued experimenting. And that's how from Mudra to HTA to Lintes. I do regret never worked for ONM. Uh,
Hmm.
Respect for that agency, but I never ended up working. Though my first application for any job in communication was to ONM, where I didn't make it. Okay, so and then after some time advertising, you wanted to get into client side, and so went into Dainik Bhaskar, stayed there for 10 years. So lovely period over there, which opened your eyes into people who believed on speed and scale of things, who never could take a no for an answer, who said no, everything is possible, everything is possible. So you learned that, and that actually created the experimenting person in me. So communication journey was fine, it was accidental, but sometimes you get to a new destination and you enjoy it thoroughly. So in my case, it was accidental journey, but I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the experience, had the charm of working with very good human beings, from Nikhil Nehru to A.G. Krishnamurti to Samir Verma to Albert to Tarun Rai. So lovely human beings. I think that is the molding that I got in communication. The people centricness, the empathy for people, the that you can do hard work and you can do hard decisions, keeping people in center. I think I think that's what I learned over there in communication.
You also went on to become adjunct faculty at MICA. You also were an advisor at MICA. What was it like to transition to teaching and shaping advertising?
No, I don't think the scale was that large, but I always believe that whenever I was taking workshop, people have far more open mind. And the facilitator, I never thought I was a trainer or a teacher. I was always a facilitator, and you end up learning quite a lot, because when you get into these management institutes, the student nowadays are very sharp, far sharper than we were, and they don't restrain themselves from asking any question. I think that's a phenomenal shift that has happened in education. They are very clear. We are paying this much money, so you better deliver. So you're like a dancer every day on a stage in a classroom. They better get something out of you that day. They better come to your class again with an open mind. You better be able to engage and involve them. And I think those were the big learning that I got, because so education happened over there. I am also involved with an NGO called A-Day Action, which is again with the theory of change through education.
Yes,
So it's not education as much as facilitating. It was a deep touch of discussion with various faculty. I think faculties are doing tremendous amount of work. We never gave our teachers that kind of a, respect was there, but not that kind of a aura. Okay, but now I see faculty has to deliver uh, quite a lot more than I think they ever did. And Micah was a big experience for 5 years. Lovely student. Even I'm in touch with few of the students. I attended few of the sessions where teachers were teaching to learn, because you know doing a workshop and teaching are two different fields. Though I tend to adapt more of a workshop nature in my, because I think that's what I'm comfortable with. So you try to do and take a escape route with a simpler thing in life. I don't deny that. So I did that, and governing council was trying to make a difference, because I believe that lot of these big institutes are more branded than, and the smaller institutes are not that they don't have the caliber or they don't have the students, or they don't deliver. I always felt that it's better to be top ranked in the smaller institute than to be last ranked in the bigger institute. Or that, I have a saying that I use in my workshop in saying a facilitator is just like rain. Okay, and it's up to the student and the participant, depending upon they have a mug, a katori, a bucket, a chimcha, how much water they can want to collect.
Correct.
It's up to that.
Or
How
be
much is the
sponge.
open, how much high or response if MB would say it. So facilitator is doing a one way, same intensity, same engagement, and it depends upon the participant to take most out of it. And I believe that still in my life, I'm a participant. It depends upon me how much newness if I'm able to, because I believe I belong to a generation which was tech phobic versus tech adaptive.
Yeah.
We were never tech native.
Yeah.
So so I believe that we have a thing about learning. So when I had to do my website of Intradia .in, I learned how to do a website. Okay, I did not depend upon outside. If I have to do few things, I would love to learn about, because then I can question the person delivering it.
Yeah.
So that is a kind of a tonality that a life took on.
Yeah.
When I said there's a lot to learn, actually life is pretty short. And it also made me learn one more thing, that because as I was telling you, I tend to do too many things at the same time.
Yes.
And then what happens, you end up doing nothing.
Does that
Okay.
happen to you? I find it hard to believe,
No,
considering
it
how
happens. It
productive you
happens.
are.
No. It happens. It happens. Because then I realized that multitasking was never multitasking. It was doing one task at a time, doing it first time right, so that you have time to deliver more tasks. Okay. So that was the learning. So I had to diffuse myself. I had to bring the focus down to few things
Okay.
and bring in a discipline in trying to do that. Otherwise, my mind diverts very fast, moves on from one to another. And if you do not complete something, you tend to feel drain of energy. It's far more draining not to complete something than the joy of doing something.
Yes.
So I started doing less number of things. I started doing them with timelines. I think the discipline that I should have had in the initial part of my career has actually come back after I started doing my own work. I think
Why did
because
you
I became
call
a,
Intradia? Why did you brand your company Intradia, Sanjeev?
I think, as I said earlier, I was getting into my independent working and saying Kotnala consultancy, Kotnala advisory was feeling very, very non-humiliating, or not humane enough, because you're not a group. The industry is not waiting for you outside that when will Kotnala leave the job and start talking. No, nobody is waiting for you. I wanted a name that people will say what the hell it is. Okay, so I somewhere while searching for the name, I hit this Italian term called intradia, which actually means during the day.
Uh-huh.
So I created a philosophy for it, saying that you have highs and lows during the day. So work at your peak find your peaks during the day. So intraday, like a intraday trading on the stock market. When
Okay.
you time it out, when to buy, when to sell.
Hmm.
So intraday, and it helped me because a lot of people took that card and say, "Oh, this is a new word. What does this mean?" And it delivered to me on that ground. So there's no big theory behind intraday.
Also wanted to ask you, Sanjeev, you are an artist. You said you won the Shankar's competition. How did your art keep shaping your view of, creating? How did you communicate using your art, and how does art help you in your day to day?
See, let me be honest. When you thought you were an artist, The myth was broken when you got into the communication and advertising agencies and saw that creative guys really do magic. They did magic with words, they did magic with colors, they did magic with proposition. We client servicing and account planners would throw them a line which never meant much, and they will from that do the magic and transform it. So you realize how stupid you were to call yourself an artist or a creative person. How big the scope was. And you thought in the 8th, 10th class you won a YMCA drawing competition, you are the next legend in making. So all those myths got broken very fast. So then I said, okay, if that is the truth, then let me learn. So I tried learning acrylic painting. I tried doing glass painting. I tried doing oil color painting, watercolor painting. But I realized that you still need a kind of a training, because I could do faces, I could do everything, but I tend to spoil them the moment I used to put an eye to it.
Ah,
Okay, I could do very well. So my designs never have an eye. I because I realized I couldn't draw that. So instead of trying to overwork on a weakness, I made that my signature art in saying no eye, faces without a eye. Okay, and I adapted. Again, I think I found a easy way out and turned it around as a communicator into advantage, the disadvantage into advantage. Uh, yes, it does help in advertising because I was able to appreciate what was being done.
hmm.
I think I was during a golden period for client servicing in advertising. Okay, after that, the art of servicing actually died, or it was no longer required. So in that golden period, you were the only link between the client and the agency. The creative guys really used to visit. Media guys, you had to go through you. So you tended to be able to appreciate what others were doing, and I think that taught me a very simple thing, that you can use appreciation for pushing people to new limits. You can use appreciation to open new doors, and you need not to be that cranky, always finding fault and telling you what you can't do, because our culture is too much of you can't do, then you can do. And which was later validated by Danik Bhaskar in saying that there's nothing that is can't do,
Yeah.
it's always about can do. But my period at Lintas and HTA was telling me that appreciation of human being is something that you better adjust to. So that small bigger amount of creativity and the hunger for self appreciation, I would put it, led you to appreciate others. And I think that's
Yes.
helped you as a communicator. Yeah.
And Sanjeev, you transitioned also to learning coaching. You became an ICF coach. You learned NLP and you have applied that to do work with your clients. Uh, did this approach, this outlook of putting others in the center, being able to appreciate, how does that help you in your coaching practice?
I think let me again put on the coaching. When I was going independent, I say other than this, what I can do. And there was a lot of about this coaching, mentor, mentee kind of a setup. I said you better understand what is it all about. So again, that feeling about saying that you better learn it from somebody. So I did this course, and then you will be surprised to know that I call myself in coaching. Every coach has a specialty to attach, and I define myself as a midlife crisis coach. And in midlife crisis coach, it's not 30, 35, 40. I define midlife is whenever your definition of responsibilities or accountability change. When your son becomes the father, the man becomes a husband, The girl becomes a wife, you become a friend, you become a senior or you become a junior, you retire. All are these are different kind of midlife crisis, because defining by 70-year experience and life expectancy a 35 year as a midlife is, I don't buy that. I said midlife is whenever there is a transition you're not comfortable with it. And this appreciating thing helped me, because at the end I believe, and this is the theory of Intradia, that the client team are the best suited to find the solution. They have the biggest experience and biggest skin in the game. A outside consultant or advisor cannot come and teach them more than they know collectively. Period. I could market, but my skin is not in the game at the marketing over there. I can understand a new product and come and start marketing that. But the people who are already into the market, the sales force of that company, the people who are already into the marketing function of that have far better width of understanding. But they have blinkers also.
Hmm.
They have a way of working also. They have egos also. They have a different way of working also. And there are internal tough wars happening. So I facilitated breaking these boundaries and help them set up a collaborative, uh, co-created solutions. And
Nice.
that solution normally comes more from the teams. So I think that's where it helped me a hell lot as a communicator in bringing. NLP helped a lot, because NLP is again about using language to wire your brain,
Yes.
nothing else, the same kind. And I experimented with NLP again in a lot many ways. But NLP, like anything else, require you to practice regularly.
Correct.
You can't say that this meeting I will be NLP and that meeting I won't be NLP. So I think that's where lacuna came in me, because I was not practicing it again. And I said, forget NLP, get into your basic, be true to yourself. You may know that I'm a very big fan of Big Boss.
I was going to
I,
come to Big Boss, in
I,
fact.
I watch it, and it's such a learning stage. Such a learning stage. I don't know how why people, many people hate it, but that's good, because people have a point of view and people have a very dramatic take on that. But the relationship at the end, the thing about being real, and I don't hesitate in telling somebody I don't have an answer. I'm not supposed to, because I'm 60 plus and I've worked in the field for 35 years, need to have answer to everything. Sorry. If I do say that, I would be lying to myself, and lying to yourself is the biggest myth you can live with, or the biggest disservice you can do to yourself, is to believe that you have arrived. Yeah.
You have also said that it even a workshop format for companies. I read your blog where you have actually, and in fact, you this was your 500th blog. You have crossed that 500 number. So, tell us a little bit about how Big Boss application, and then I also want you to talk about the consistency in your writing and how that gets achieved.
Okay. I think there are few stories coming that way. Okay. Uh, First of all, I this is the 500th uninterrupted weekly column. Okay, the number of blocks could be higher and more than 750 in last 10 years overall working. And maybe the blocks happened because still you were in your corporate life, you were under some kind of a gag order,
Yeah,
because you have to have an opinion which is in sync with what the company wants to you to say or do,
correct,
you know. And because you were in marketing, you bloody well experience and observe that guideline.
correct.
Okay. You can't break it. So when I left Bhaskar, I think there was a lot of thing about I have so much to say, I have so much to talk. uh, and maybe people want to read about it, maybe people don't want to read about it. So I ventured, and Pradyuman at MXM gave me that opportunity. Thank God, he never asked me what I'm going to write next about.
Yes.
And I wrote. So initial 1 year was very cozy. They had
Hmm.
too many things to write about, to tell about, and suddenly, like the climate control, when the streams start trickling down, your things started trickling down.
Hmm.
So frankly, there were moments when you didn't have something to say,
Hmm.
but then a discipline crept in,
Hmm.
and Maheshwari can check on that. Is saying that he never had to call me and saying that when is my weekly Wednesday article coming in, because it will come on a Sunday or Monday morning to him. So I started learning about, from a newspaper time, something called feature blogs available, which can be put without a date value.
Yes.
Okay, so having a repertoire of them ready
Nice.
when you didn't
Nice.
have something to say.
Nice.
Secondly, you became bold. You became in saying that if you are going to be same diplomatic cushy person not taking a stance, nobody wants you. And advertising has taught you that people better love you or hate you. Okay, middle path is no path. So you started opening up and you started writing and take a stance. I think this transition happened about third or fourth year of my writing.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly people start talking it. It became so bad that people started introducing me as a blogger, as a journalist, as a marketing commentator. And I said, sorry, that's not the profile. That's not the idea of the
Brand
person.
intent.
Uh, Not at all. I don't want to be branded like that because that's not paying. Okay.
Correct.
But blogs also opened one thing, that it's opened access to many people who otherwise would have never interacted,
Hmm.
or they would have never known, and hence they would have never hired me to do a job.
Correct.
Okay. So I think these writings, and the more they did that, I think it became a self-fueling engine. The more people appreciate it, the more bolder you became, and that engine cranked. But as for writing, I must share with you one story, that when I was in Lintas, I used to read hazar books then, and I still read 70 to 75 books a year.
You
Uh,
have a
so
rule, I think, a personal rule of reading so many pages every day.
50 pages. 50 pages a day is a minimum that I
Time be
sit and
fixed, hai,
read.
Sanjeev? Is the
No,
timing fixed
no. I
in
can
the
read
day?
in the morning, evening, whatever.
And do you
I'm
sit
not
at read at one go or do you
one.
read in one go?
50 pages has to be on one go, immaterial of the time.
What are you
Doodling is
reading
not.
currently, right now?
Currently, I'm reading something called Black Warrant.
Black Warrant.
Black Warrant is by
Okay.
a jailer who has seen the hangings in our jails. So it's about experience of those convicts and how they have behaved pre uh, hanging. So it's a
So
Black
the
Warrant is book.
topics and the themes that you take, do they go in the direction of the dark?
Uh, I'm more of a paranormal buff.
That
So
is what I
darkness
wanted you to tell the audience that you are
darkness
writing.
may be there, because like I'm fixed to go on 24th March and visit Bhanugarh, the most haunted place in India. So 24th March, I'm due to go over there.
Have you
I,
experienced the paranormal also
I,
personally?
I have, I have, and hence the belief. But I don't talk about it because it's very subjective. Like I believe
Yes.
this cycle of life and death.
Yeah.
But it's more faith than belief than fact. So I don't want my faith to be debated,
It's
and
experiential for you.
experiential for. But somebody will say it could have been because of that and because of that, and I said, sorry, it's my belief,
Yes.
it's my faith versus your faith. You are absolutely right in not to believe it. Fine. So there is a darkness, but let me come back to this about in
Please.
LinkedIn. So I was reading. I also used to read a author and finish all books before jumping author. Or
Hmm.
a author will give me a book I won't like, and then I will change. So I read reading John Grisham novels at that time,
Hmm.
and I read a book called Painted House by him. And Painted House was not the normal John Grisham. It was experimentative essays on various things by John Grisham. And that's, I think, I took into experimenting in my writing later.
Ah, okay.
So, but I threw that book.
Hmm.
And while I was throwing this book, my senior Samir Verma, who is no longer now, was there. And he said, "What did you do?" So I said, "Stupid writing." He said, "Have you ever written 2 pages?" I said, "Oh, now that's a challenge." So he was my immediate boss also. So I took a 15-day leave from Lintas. My home didn't know about it. So I came to office and I was on leave. So I would close my cubicle and type and try writing it. So on the fourth or fifth day, I went to Samir and said, "Yeah, this is it." And he read and he tries it into the dustbin. Say, "Stupid." It happened 3, 4 times before I think I could write something that passed at least his eye. And I said, "Okay." And
Hmm.
I appreciated the effort that goes in. So I never ever close a book before finishing it. I do not leave books halfway because I realize that irrespective of it not tuning into you, not resonating into you, is a thought process and a process somebody has gone through. So give that respect.
Hmm.
So I pick up a book, but I will, even if I don't like it, I will read it completely. I will never leave it. So I think that time the story that I wrote as 6 pages now has got converted into full blown novel,
Okay.
which is coming out in March called
Wow.
Enchanting Nili, Second Love, First Time. Okay.
That's a
So that,
romance that you've written.
yeah, the romance novel that I have written, which I started writing in '95, I can say,
Amazing.
as a 6 page, but bloomed into about 260 pages now into a book.
And you write poetry, you doodle, you do so many things. So I know we are 2 minutes past the time. Just
Yeah.
want just a few things in terms of structuring your day. How do you structure the 24 hours of your day, Sanjeev?
Yeah, I still am a person who have a to-do list.
Hmm.
Okay. They are not to do today, but they are to do list in happening. And I've learned pretty much saying that Mondays are for internalization, and Tuesdays are for outside interaction, and Wednesday is when you sit at your working place. So I've divided them into that way. As I said, my 9 to 10 in the night is my doodling. There's 50 pages to read, which is an hour sometime and 45 minutes sometime at a stretch. I've become very particular about eating on time with age. So now there are slots left. And after that thing about multitasking, I try to take one thing at a time and just do that. So if I'm writing, I will write for 2 hours. If I'm doodling, I will doodle for 1 hour. If I'm making my phone calls, I will make all the phone calls in one go.
Hmm.
I check my email thrice a day. That's it. In between, they can come because if there is a fire, somebody will call you. So simple living in
Batch working of time.
batch working and giving you breaks in between.
Mhm.
And I think somewhere you formed about certain working principle. So I've written another book which is out in March again, which is 24 Rules of Life. I realized late or wish I knew earlier, which is for early people in life, because I think I never realized that how they are done. So I think there is unstructuredness, but there's a discipline of doing things. It's about meeting a deadline. It's about giving yourself a deadline than anything else, more than being asked from others. And I realize, which I will leave with people with, saying that in organization you are not the last person online. Your family, please interact with the family. Nothing is stops at work. There are a lot of people to fill your space. At my time, I have missed my daughter's birthday, my son's birthday, some PTAs and all that, thinking that the corporate life was much demanding and required it much of the things. But no, that's not the part of requirement. I think your family, please do take time and fulfill your family emotional needs of interactivity and engagement, and that's far more fulfilling now. Yeah, that's what, Deepa.
Thank you. So, Sanjeev Kotnala, he gave me a new word to describe him, an experimenter, because I know him as an extremely disciplined, methodical, and a prolific communicator. And that's how I knew him. He has been our client at Dainik Bhaskar, which is how we met Sanjeev Kotnala
Yeah,
first so many years ago. And what a delight it is. So, when Pahadi or each of the genres that you create, the creating an anthology or providing a platform for people with roots from Uttarakhand, and the fourth season goes now. So Sanjeev Kotnala, now I'm waiting for his film reviews. So those are always very welcome. He writes film reviews. So I think a man who never ceases to uh, amaze us, and someone who always has so much of creativity. You think of creativity as right brain, but to be able to couple the right brain with the left brain of process and discipline, and bringing the two whole brain approach to everything he does. So, Sanjeev Kotnala ji, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing that very, very illuminating uh, journey that
thank
you
you,
had.
Deepa. Thank you for this opportunity of, just because when you say these kind of things, you actually tend to introspect what you have said, and those are the good moments to look. And yeah, self appreciation is always welcome.
Thank you. And we will be in touch and talk soon. Thank you for
Sure.
watching. Bye
Thank,
bye.
thank you.